Welcome to the PPS Library Catalog. This is Ms. Gap, Teacher Librarian at Peninsula Elementary School. I'm here to walk you through how to search for and browse ebooks from the library catalog. First, what is an ebook? The E stands for electronic. So, an electronic book, or ebook, is a book you can access online and read from a screen. You may already be accessing other books through your Clever portal, like Myon and Sora. There are also sites like Tumblebooks and Epic where you can read ebooks, even have them read to you. Each platform or company, like Myon or Tumblebooks, makes agreements with publishers on which books they can use and for how long. Our library catalog is not much different. In the catalog, you'll find ebooks from a variety of publishing companies and vendors that our school district and our state have agreements with. The publishers and vendors you are likely to run into while browsing our catalog are National Geographic, Gale, and Mackin. This is not a complete list. Keep in mind that each publisher or company has a slightly different delivery system for you to read on. This means that depending on where the book is published, your screen layout may look different. Sora Books, a Clever app, are also searchable from within our library catalog. The way you access the ebook can vary too. Because these publishers have business agreements with just our school district and our state, not any old person on the internet can access them. You'll need a username and password, or sometimes just a password, to get into the book. Peninsula students have grit, so I know that with some perseverance, you'll get the hang of how to navigate ebooks in no time. So, just how many ebooks are there in the catalog? We'll do our first search to find out. First, let's navigate to the catalog. I'm using a Chrome browser. I'm going to Google Peninsula K5. It should be first in the results. There it is. Now I'm going to the library section of the website. Click on it. You'll see PPS Library Catalog. Click there. You're in. Now, before we do any searching, we're going to log in with our PPS username and password. Why? Well, remember the agreement we have with publishers? It's just a fact of life that you need special permissions sometimes. This is one of those times. When you are in our school building, you actually don't need the username and password to access our ebooks. But if you're at home, that's why we are doing this. This is not a Google product, so you do not need to add @student.pps.net. Remember, your username and password are your first initial, your last name, and the last 4 digits of your student ID, which is the same as your lunch number. Your password is the 2-digit month and 2-digit day you were born. Add a 0 in front of numbers below 10. Now that we're logged in, let's look at our search settings. Leave the location set to Peninsula Library. Location. And the material type we need to change not to book, that means the physical thing. We want to change it to ebook or electronic book. Then all we're going to do next is place the cursor in the find box and hit enter. You don't need to search anything specific to start. Look at that. We have 8,493 ebooks. They appear in an alphabetical list, and books with numbers in their titles appear first. If you look at the page navigation, there are 340 pages to scroll through of all those 8,000 and some ebooks. Maybe we don't want to browse 340 pages of book titles, so let me show you how to narrow your results. You can search for just right books in your reading level range by selecting Reading Programs, then Fountas and Pinnell. Next, select the range you want to read in. I'm going to use F through R. Let's say I'm a 4th grader. I can also change the interest level from 3rd through 5th grade. Take your cursor back to the search box and hit enter. You still don't need to type anything specific. Okay, now we see a list of 440 books on 18 pages of titles. A little easier to manage. As you scroll through, notice that each book displays the interest level and the Fountas and Pinnell reading level. You will click Open once you find a book you want to read more of. You know I like frogs. Because we are already logged in, it's not going to ask us to enter a username or password unless it's a publisher that has a different kind of agreement. We'll look at one of those examples later. Remember I mentioned that different publishers and book vendors have slightly different ways of viewing the ebooks? Some of the books have a play option, so you can hear the book being read to you.
Amphibians and reptiles are two different classes of animals. Scientists who study them are called herpetologists.
So it's a robot voice, but at least you can understand what it says. So when using ebooks in our catalog, you'll want to remember what Ms. Gap taught you about tabs. Tabs are the way to track how many windows to the internet are open. Let's count how many tabs I have open right now. 1, 2, 3. When you're finished looking at a book and you want to choose something else, look for the X on the tab that you have open. Remember what the X means? X means exit. Get me out of here. Depending on the publisher again, you may have a tab open that allows you to search other books from that same company we have an agreement with. However, they have their own ways to search their collections, and I'd rather we stick with our familiar library catalog. We can find the same books available there. Your tab to our library catalog should say library search or search results, something like that. Okay, let's go back and do a new search and be more specific this time. I'm going to double check that it's still set to Peninsula Library, ebook. And this time I'm going to be unlimited in my reading program. I'm going to get rid of it. So we're going to search the entire ebook catalog and for any interest level. So I'm going to remove the restrictions for interest level as well, back to unlimited. Okay, let's see if the catalog has anything about this gentleman, Lil Nas X. Can't nobody tell me nothing. Our catalog is definitely not as cool as it could be. You won't always find what you want. It doesn't mean there isn't an ebook somewhere on earth about Lil Nas X. It just means we don't have it. Before you give up though, check your spelling and try the 5 different ways to search. Keyword, title, author, subject, and series. Get an adult to help you with your spelling because that can affect your search. Okay, let's try a different search. Frogs. That's my search term. Ribbit. The search results are what the catalog returns to me on what it has about frogs. Your search terms may have no results, or it might produce many pages of books. Now let's do an example that asks you for an additional password. Before I do that, I'm going to make sure that my settings are still how I want them. I'm still searching for ebooks. I'm using the search term cats. In the search results, I want to find and read a book called National Geographic Kids, Everything Big Cats. There are a lot of pages about cats. Meow. This book is from a publishing agreement we have with Gale, and it should ask you for another password, even though we logged in with our PPS username. The password is posted to your Seesaw and Google Classroom activity. It is also available in a document back on our library website. Hey, it didn't prompt me for a password. So I'm going to go back and try a different book. There are still things I'm learning about how the catalog works too, like why doesn't it prompt for a password on the Big Cats book? But it does for Wildcats. It may have something to do with cookies. What? Not the kind you eat. Cookies on your computer are small pieces of code that remember what you prefer when you are browsing. I prefer chocolate chip. Just kidding. The chocolate chip part was a joke. So the password I just typed in was Oslis. O-S-L-I-S. And again, that's posted back on the website and in your Seesaw and Google Classroom activity. Usually we don't post these on the internet, but the stay-at-home order, the pandemic, and mandatory remote learning at home have made adults a little less protective of their passwords for now. Again, the password was Oslis. O-S-L-I-S. Okay, in our last example, using Diary of a Wimpy Kid, you might run into a book that takes you to your Clever login. If you are using a Chrome browser and already logged into Google, where you add @student.pps.net to the end of your username, then your login will be smooth. I'm going to select my example student. In this platform, you'll need to click Borrow to read. Use your critical thinking skills to figure out which buttons to press next. This book is part of the Sora app that is on your Clever portal. It's not a very big collection, and there are many books here meant for middle and high school students, but there are a few gems that might work for you. Under subjects, stick to looking for the categories that say juvenile. You'll find some books here that we have on the shelves in our physical library as well. Notice that some of the books are audiobooks that have the headphone icon, and the others are ebooks. How many copies of Harry Potter do you need? These are actually in different languages. Let's do another search, doing juvenile nonfiction this time. A little more variety here. Ooh, how to draw. Notice I use my tabs again to get back to the library catalog. Okay, that's the long and short of it. Now you try. Find one ebook in the library catalog. Write down the title and the author of the book. Go to the Seesaw or Google Classroom activity I posted for you. Record yourself saying, "I found this title of the book by the author in the catalog." Say a few more words about the book if you want, like how you found it. Which search terms did you use? Post your recording to the activity. Read the book if you want. Thank you for learning about how to find and read ebooks in our library catalog.